Hello everyone, and welcome to another Let's Play of The Royal Trap by Hanako Games. My name is Anna Mardal. We are going through the Nazagi playthrough for Chapter 5 today, and this is probably our last playthrough for this because we've collected all the other good endings, and I've been through a couple of the bad endings just out of morbid curiosity, and they were bad enough to make me really sad. So I think that for once I'm going to be able to set aside my token collecting obsessions for collecting all the Steam tokens and probably not go back and pick up the normal and bad endings. So, when we last left our last playthrough, we had done the prologue and the chapters 1 through 4, and the only thing we'd really done differently is when we searched for the missing Princess Cassidy, we chose to search Nazagi's rooms. And when we searched Nazagi's rooms and he found us, we told him the truth that Dolores was the servant who had let us in, because he had been on the lookout for local servantry who would not be adverse to being bribed. So, at the end of chapter 4, when we're in the dungeon, we would pick the Nazagi option, which I'll admit right now feels a little abrupt to me. If we pick the Oscar option in the Oscar playthrough, obviously we have a huge history with him. If we pick the Calum option, which interestingly enough, a couple of you have mentioned that in your areas you pronounce his name Callum, like calumny. And I was surprised by that because I actually have known a Calum, and that was how we pronounced his name. That was how he pronounced his name. So it's not like, I know I've been I misspeak Valois when I'm nervous or on a flow because because I do. But if your name is Callum and you're in the audience, I'm very sorry that I've been mispronouncing your name. I was speaking off of personal experience. And now I'm going to stumble over his name every time because I don't know which one to use. But if we pick him after going through his walkthrough, we've been, getting to know him. There's been, kind of a whirlwind, romancy type feel to it. So it makes sense that he would come check on us. Gaston even kind of made sense because even though we only saw him once, it was a very... it was a meeting that imprinted itself on all parties, as he's a very passionate person. And then the Cassidy and Dolores options, I don't believe ever actually do anything. I don't know if the plan by the developer was to flesh those out at some point. I'm actually kind of sad that they don't do anything because I would actually love an ending where Cassidy just fixes it all without the help of Oscar or her brother, or where Dolores, stages an amazing jailbreak. But Nazagi, we only really met him that once, so it'll be interesting to see how that pans out. So, we are going to start Chapter 5C, C being the path for Nazagi, the spider. And I think, we've seen some of this. I sit on my prison bed, absently toying with a bit of loose string. I'm not being mistreated. They've even remembered to feed me. So let's skip through this part a little bit. Memories, dreams, and fantasies swirl unfettered in my mind, replaying past events and imagining how they might have turned out differently. Not to obsess about what I should have done, but things that would have been too dangerous or ridiculous to consider, and the amusing outcomes they might have provoked. Imagine the scene if I had stolen Prince Nazagi's spectacles and forced him to chase me through the palace corridors to retrieve them. No, that would be cruel. Half blind, he would have tripped over his own robes and done himself injury. It would be unfair to challenge him without his spectacles. What would I look like wearing such things? Or Callum? Or Oscar? Ridiculous, no doubt. Oh, wow, okay, Maddie. Give it a few years is all I've got to say about that. Um, I will say though, and this is just my public service announcement for the day. Don't treat the assistive devices of disabled people as um, toys to be taken away. Like you saw that like in the recent like Guardians of the Galaxy movie, where as part of the prison breakout, they steal a guy's prosthetic limb, and you know it's very funny, and that's a common thing in movies. I've worn glasses. I don't now, and I have a cane, and I've also had to use wheelchairs at different points in my life, and you know it varies from person to person because disabled people are unique individuals like everybody else. But for a lot of disabled people, their assistive devices are or feel or can feel as much a part of them as your own bodily parts, like your arms or your eyes or your legs. So don't take them as a joke or to be funny if you're writing fiction. Try not to do that because it can come off as, you know, Maddie says here that it's cruel. It almost needs a stronger word than cruel. It's not a good thing to do. So try not to do that. So that's my little writer PSA for the day. And obviously, I'm expecting that Meline as a character is going to grow. We've seen her grow in other plot lines to start from a position of maybe not the best way to look at it to growing. So this is not a criticism against Meline. It's just something I thought I'd throw out there. But that got long. I'm so sorry. Lost in my thoughts, I haven't yet had time to grow lonely, and thus turn only half an ear to the sound of someone approaching. Well, well. Who is that? I stand and move closer to the door. Your Highness? Prince Nazagi stands outside my dungeon cell as if summoned by my thoughts. What are you doing here? You do present something of a riddle, do you not? The wrong fish caught on the wrong hook. I don't follow you. Certain details in your story do not appear to add up. I found you in my own rooms, engaged in what appeared to be a clandestine search for the missing princess. According to you, you were aided in breaching my privacy by the mercenary loyalties of the page Dolores Arefe. And yet now, you claim that it was you who kidnapped the princess, and the bravery of Miss Arefe which foiled your plot. An interesting story, but one that raises many questions. If you were in possession of the princess, why were you in my rooms? If this page girl was in service to the crown, why would she have aided you in that pursuit? And if she did not, if you dropped her name to me merely to discredit her, would that not suggest you already found her suspicious? In that case, how did you manage to bungle your plotting so badly? Why take her with you on your adventure? You spin a tangled tale, Miss Valois. My mind whirls as I try to put together what he knows and what he might suspect against the larger picture as I see it. Of course, Friedrich and Paloma gave no thought to Nazagi's view of events. If Dolores neglected to inform them, they might not have had any idea that Nazagi and I encountered each other earlier. Their cover story does nothing to address his questions. Prince Nazagi is not my trusted confidant. He is not my friend. He is another player in this game, looking to serve his own ends. I dare not tell him all that I know about the king and the wisdom and their lies. That would endanger Oscar for no obvious gain. On the other hand, Nazagi is the first person to contact me here in my imprisonment. He may be the only source of information that I can gain access to, my only chance to find out what is really going on. I could attempt to fill the holes in the official story, or I could keep his attention on those flaws. So for the good ending, the correct answer is here. I was looking for a poison, I guess would be to explain why she was in the rooms, as opposed to, I wasn't searching for the princess, I was actually looking for a poison. That's the wrong answer. Or, I think that'll get you the normal ending. Yeah, this is for the good one, and the bad one. It is all rather suspicious, isn't it? So it would seem. Would you care to offer an explanation? Sometimes our choices are not of our own making. There is a danger in knowing too much, the danger of ending up where I am, or worse. Of course, knowledge can also be a useful bargaining tool. That is why I'm still alive. So you do know something. For a moment, I smile. Let him wonder. The more value my mysterious information holds in his head, the more he will wish to be on my side. My lord, if you wish to investigate these matters, I must urge caution. Asking the wrong questions of the wrong people could bring down retribution on both our heads. And if one wished to ask the correct questions, who would be the correct people? Not Oscar, certainly. I don't want to draw him. I don't want to draw any more attention to him. And there is a better option. Princess Cassidy. Cassidy knows what really happened out there. I have no idea what her opinion of the cover-up is. She wasn't present at my little trial. She may not even know where I am. If she is still on the side of truth, she is the most useful ally I could recruit. It is Cassidy's family who is pulling the strings here, and they certainly wouldn't want to cast doubt on their own heir. And if, despite appearances, she is an enemy, well, then I have given Nazagi no more information than he already had. Let her pick up the pieces. If you wish to know the truth, convey your respects to the Princess Cassidy. I would greatly appreciate knowing what she has to say. I see. Well then, until we meet again. He leaves. With my limited viewing angle, he only has to take a few steps to vanish from my sight completely. It would seem that I am not completely without resources after all. Of course, this could still come to nothing. There's no way to know. Thus, for the moment I remain at loose ends, floating between moments, without so much as a deck of cards with which to amuse myself. But that is not so terrible. I still have a window. And we've seen this one. This is Meline talking about how, as a child, she was sort of trained to be seen and not heard. And she's counting the bricks in her ceiling. An activity is a luxury that quickly becomes a burden. As of yet, there has been no word from Prince Nazagi, nor from Princess Cassidy. Surely he must have reached her by now. What has she said to him? Why hasn't he returned? If no answer comes, does that mean that Cassidy approves of what has been done to me? That wouldn't seem to be in her nature. Nazagi, on the other hand, I can easily see leaving me here, unless he felt he had something to gain by my freedom. Perhaps I should have given him more reason to depend on me? He may have found a way to win Cassidy's trust and gratitude while cutting me out completely. No, as calculating as he may be, he doesn't have enough information. He can't raise his suspicions to the princess without mentioning me. He must be taking his time, that's all. After all, he has no reason for urgency. He isn't trapped in a cell. Unless he never intended to assist me in the first place, he may already know far more than he let on. His questions to me could have been a test. I'm making myself dizzy. There are simply too many things I don't know. Either Prince Nazagi will come back, or he won't. I should neither discount nor rely on him. If I want to get out of this position, I must be prepared to make use of every opportunity. And therefore, when a noise at the door indicates that a guard has brought me another meal, I do my best to look friendly and harmless. Thank you! What's your name? What's it to you? Nothing, really. But there's no harm in being civil. It's more polite to thank someone by name. You don't have to tell me. I could make one up. Let's see. You look like a Gerard. Am I close? No. Oh well, it'll do for now. I take my food and withdraw to my cot, not pressing him for any further interaction. A well-trained prison guard should know enough to resist wheedling and bribes. Befriending someone properly requires familiarity over time. So then, the meal. Bread, a bit of fish, and cold stew. Compared absolutely, it is a better meal than we managed yesterday morning. Still, I would rather be there at the riverside than here. But that is not the hand I've been dealt. It's rare for anyone to have completely free choices over where they go and what they do. We are all in cages, trapped by our history, our roles, our expectations. It is only that some cages are more comfortable than others. I eat, and I sit, and I think, and time passes. A quiet tap at the door. Could it be? I sit on the bed and wait. No need to appear too desperate. Are you there? Can't he see? Oh. No, he probably can't. I move closer to the door. I am here, my lord. What have you learned? Tell me, is the princess's life in danger? Why is he asking me that? I'm hardly in the best position to tell. Has something happened? That is one of the things I wish to find out. I have no idea whether Cassidy is at risk at the moment or not, but I do know what happened earlier. We're going to say there was an assassin. When we were returning to the castle, a man, a fanatic of some sort, tried to run the princess through. We fought him off, but the man unfortunately died before providing much in the way of information. Interesting. As you were there, and I was not, who do you expect might have been behind this attack? This is not the time or place to discuss it, my lord. It is not safe. Unfortunately, it is relevant. Princess Cassidy is under guard and not accepting visitors. So you couldn't reach her. Perhaps if you trusted me with more information than vague suggestions of secrets and danger. Don't be so short-sighted, my lord. His face tightens at the reminder. And I'm hoping this gets better. I do, but don't mock people for their disabilities. Don't. It's not funny. It's not. I mean, maybe she doesn't mean it as a mock. Maybe she means it as, I have a secret of yours that I haven't kept. Or, sorry, that I haven't shared, that I've kept your trust, but don't do it. There is danger here, and far more for me than for you. You are a prince. I am a prisoner and a scapegoat. I don't even know who else may be listening. I suppose I can't disapprove of your caution. However, if you have nothing further to tell me... Wait. Prince Caleb. He would never risk his sister's safety, and he would never trust that creature Dolores. If you could talk to him in private, and tell him that you have spoken to me here. He has more freedom than I to choose what to tell you. Nazagi stares at me without speaking for a moment. Perhaps it would be more effective if I begged and pleaded, or pretended to hold power and ordered him to obey. If only I knew him better. I've given him nothing but bluff and bluster. He could walk away and leave me here to rot. Still, Nazagi has the air of a cat with a tangled skein. He won't let this go until he has it all to pieces. As you say. Very well, I hope you have a restful evening. It's nowhere near evening. That must be his way of telling me not to expect his return anytime soon. And then he is gone, and I am alone again. I don't feel much like sitting idle at the moment, so I trace a pattern across the stones of my cell. Nothing too energetic, not when I don't have the luxury of being clean afterwards. We've seen this. This is her. This is her exercising, and I could never become a fighter for coin. No simple coin could have bought that guardsman who tried to kill the princess. As Caleb said, there was very little chance for him to escape alive and enjoy a reward. So why did he do it? It seems like madness. Of course, madness can be brought upon an unwilling victim by the skills of a pharmacist, skills which Prince Nazagi appears to possess. But what could he possibly gain by sending a minion to attack Princess Cassidy, even if he'd known where we were? No. Perhaps the guard was promised something on behalf of a friend or family, something which he needed, valued more than his own life. Daughters in need of inheritance? An ailing wife? There is absolutely nothing I can do to investigate from inside this cell. I can only spin theories, each one wilder than the last. I wonder how Oscar is faring under these conditions. Is he taking care of himself and staying out of trouble? Is he driving himself to distraction, worrying about what's going on around him, as I am starting to do? At least for the moment, he has obeyed my request and stayed away from me here. Even if I am bungling matters with Nazagi, Oscar should be safe. That is, as long as it's by his own choice that he is maintaining this distance. I stand up, take a deep breath, and let it out slowly. I will not fret about Oscar. I'm sure he's fine. He's probably taking the time to write down more terrible poetry. I must think calming thoughts and look at my window and wait. Time passes, afternoon shading into evening, evening into night, and still no one comes. Didn't Prince Nazagi suggest he would return in the evening? Where is he? Perhaps he intended a more clandestine visit in the cover of darkness? I press my face to the bars of my window, peering left and right. A clever and quiet individual might slip around the base of the castle to deliver a message to a prisoner without any guard being aware. But there is no one there. No one is coming. No one is going to come. There's nothing left for me to do but sleep. After a day spent mostly still and waiting, sleep does not come easily. Waiting, always waiting. What a waste of time this is. Lying in bed, waiting for some greater force that I can't control to come and carry me off? Sunlight, morning. I must have fallen asleep eventually. I think being trapped is starting to prey on my mind. Wait, did I just say that aloud? That's not a good sign. I need to get out of here, but no one is coming. Even if none of my schemes bear fruit, I have betrayed nothing and promised nothing. Oscar and I are both safe. And of course, I am not entirely out of options. After some time has passed, a guard arrives with my meal. Good morning, Gerard. It's Lambert. Or Lambert, I don't know. I'm not even going to try to continue massacring people's names. I'm sorry. Success! I've gotten him to say something outside of his duties. That's the first step in him thinking of me as a person. I agree. That's a much better name. Mine is Meline. The guard only grunts. Thank you for the meal, and have a pleasant day. Over time, people generally find it hard to hate someone who keeps being nice to them. At the very least, he should be willing to tell me a bit of gossip soon. I need to find out what's going on in the rest of the palace. Well, for the moment I need to eat this food and keep my strength up. Stew again, although with a slightly different flavor this time. One must be grateful for small luxuries. I eat slowly, savoring the experience, since as soon as this is gone, I will have nothing left to do but sit and stare. Once again, I settle into place and look out the window waiting. Perhaps Prince Nazagi will visit me today. It's becoming strangely cold in here. I wrap the rough blanket around my shoulders. Why do I feel tired all of a sudden? I shouldn't be tired. I've done nothing but sit and sleep. Perhaps I've slept too much. I rock back and forth, trying to regain my equilibrium. There's a painful pressure growing in my gut. Something is wrong. I launch myself away from the bed, falling to my knees on the stone floor, just in time for the first contents of my stomach to fight their way up my throat. Once I've finished coughing and retching, I call for the guard to come and clean up the mess. At least that was my intention, but my body no longer seems willing to follow my commands. My tongue feels swollen and numb in my mouth. My hands are shaking, my fingers cold, and my stomach crushes in on itself hard enough to crack nuts. I cry for help, but I'm not sure that I'm able to form words. Something is very wrong. Either I am terribly ill, with an illness that has come on faster and stronger than anything I've ever seen before, or I have been poisoned. Alone in the dark and cold of a dungeon cell, This is not how I wanted my life to end. I can't keep my eyes open. Once upon a time, in a land far, far away, lived a little girl named Aspeline. She lived with her father and mother in a stone house on the great hill. One day she... Wait, who is Aspeline? That's not my name. Once upon a time, in a land far, far away. I'm not from a land far, far away. That's a fairy story. Once upon a time. This isn't making sense. I'm dreaming. I'm having a fever dream. That's why it keeps repeating. And that means I'm not dead? Slowly, painfully, I open my eyes. The first thing I notice is discomfort, like a day-old burn running from the center of my chest up through my throat. My mouth is dry, my head heavy and sore. I won't be going anywhere in a hurry. The next thing I notice is that I am no longer in the dungeon. A good bed, a soft pillow, silk sheets, and no smell of sweat or decay. How long have I been sleeping? Have we come home again? Oscar? I hope that is only confusion, and not a sign that your eyesight has been damaged. Prince Nazagi. Then I haven't left Guelinor after all. What? There's water there. That wasn't what I meant. But considering the condition of my throat, I am more than willing to take the glass he indicates before continuing. How did I get here? There was quite a to-do about your unfortunate illness. It would seem that the king and his wisdom did not wish your death. That's reassuring, I suppose. At the same time, they were highly reluctant to allow you to be removed to the care of a healer. You are, after all, a prisoner here, and not permitted to travel or speak freely. But I'm not in the dungeon anymore. You are in my own quarters. I quite kindly volunteered my services on your behalf. And they trusted you? No offense intended, my lord, but your reputation does precede you. Certain precautions were required, of course. There are now guards stationed outside my rooms. And my own valet, Yorick, has taken your place in the dungeons as an incentive to prevent your escape. And if I die here, the blame falls on you, not on Guelinor. Indeed, not that it would happen, of course. I fall back against the pillows, exhausted. You're very confident of your skills. I should be, considering that I supplied the poison that felled you myself. You what? So we get, how clever of you, or... I keep my face still, hiding any reaction as I try to process this. So you planned all of this in order to get me out of the dungeon. Very clever. Clever and potentially disastrous. Through no fault of my own, I have now broken out of my imprisonment. If the king realizes it wasn't a natural illness, he might consider this a violation of our agreement. Oscar could be in danger. Still, antagonizing my only ally won't make it better. Is he my only ally? Perhaps this is part of a plan. Did you speak to Prince Caleb? No. Then why? When I arranged to cross Caleb's path, I discovered that he had been assigned a new valet, one Dolores Arefe. What? That's impossible. So you say. I say that I am tired of moving these shells blindly. I have sacrificed my best piece to put myself under suspicion and gain access to you. No more delays. Tell me what you know. This has all gotten far too complicated. Nazagi is involved, his poor valet is involved, Oscar's at risk, and I still have no idea what's going on. What have I gained? A variety of new aches and pains and a more comfortable bed to lie in. Useless. It's far too late to change course now. The cards have been dealt, and we play them out. Fine. Just let me finish this water, and I'll tell you what happened. I sip slowly, trying to put my thoughts in order. How to tell the tale. Princess Cassidy has spent most of her life cooped up here for her own safety. She's never been allowed out. Even her own brothers weren't allowed to see or speak to her. Caleb resented that. He came up with a plan to get her away from her parents and her minders. It was Caleb who attacked Oscar in the rose garden. Only a slight widening of his eyes betrays his surprise. Prince Nazagi is not the sort to argue or interrupt until a tale is done. From there I sum up the events. Caleb leaves Cassidy in his rooms. Dolores takes her from there and leaves a ransom note while sending me off on a pointless quest to search Nazagi's room. Caleb forces me into his service, and we pilfer the treasury and escape the castle through a secret passage, the details of which I do not disclose. It has no bearing on current events, and it is not my secret to share. The next morning, we went to the rendezvous, and that's when we found out it was Dolores. We managed to capture her and rescue Cassidy, and we headed back to the castle. Then we encountered a lone guard who, instead of helping us, called Cassidy an imposter and attacked her. So Caleb killed him. He wanted to kill Dolores when he found out what she'd done, but Oscar and I managed to stop him. I can't imagine him taking that woman as his valet. He despises her, and she's nowhere near qualified. Anyway, that was the last obstacle before we returned. When we arrived here, the guards split us up. The king and his wisdom wanted to talk to Oscar and Caleb and Cassidy alone because of royal privilege. I waited with Dolores to keep an eye on her. Then, all of a sudden, I was arrested. I expected Frederick and Paloma to cover for Caleb's part in all this. I didn't expect them to pin the blame on me. I had to agree to give a false confession in order to protect Oscar and escape with my life, but I don't know why. I haven't been able to reach either Caleb or Cassidy since we returned. An interesting tale. Yet what it all comes down to is that you don't actually know what's going on. I know a lot more than you did. What I don't understand is Dolores' part in all this. She's not qualified even to be a page, much less a valet. She told me she was a foundling, a nameless peasant who received a place here out of royal charity. She said the ransom gold would buy her a new life from here. She was afraid she'd be hanged for her crimes. It all sounded believable, but it must be a lie. Otherwise, why would the king and wisdom protect her? Oscar said that they had to punish me because they refused to punish anyone else. Oscar is a guest of royal blood. Caleb and Cassidy are their own children. Dolores is a nobody. Not to mention that she was actually guilty. So why are they doing this? What? A possibility. What possibility? Why should I tell you? You've already given me everything you know. You are weakened from the effects of my drug. You are officially a criminal and an invalid with no freedom of movement. What use are you to me now? You gave up your valet to get me. I'm now the only agent you have who can see things clearly. Perhaps. But can you be trusted? Are you willing to work on my behalf and promote my interests, so long as they do not endanger your Prince Oscar? Even to the point of helping me win the hand of the heir of Guelenor? If he'd asked me that question while I was still in my prison cell, I might have had time to think about it. But now the choice has been made for me. It's too late to keep my head down and wait for an ignominious return to Osendower. I'm in too deep. Working with Nazagi offers me my only chance to unravel this mystery. And that's not the only detail which must be considered. It's not only a question of right here and right now. There is the matter of the future. My future. My first loyalty remains to Oscar, of course, but I had already realized the truth. He and I must eventually go separate ways. I can't stay with him forever. The very best that I could have hoped for would have been to settle him in a prestigious marriage, such as a match with Princess Cassidy. That now seems out of the question. Even if I can turn around our current disgrace, Oscar clearly said that he does not want to stay in Guelenor. However, if my assistance succeeds in bringing Prince Nazagi to the throne, I am with you, my lord. Good. Rest a bit. When you think your stomach can handle it, I will summon a light meal. And then, my dear, we will scheme. That was the end of chapter 5. And 5C. I'm going to pause here and get a drink of water. And I am not entirely certain that the video recorded any music. It seemed like it was, and then it was like it cut out. So that one may have been without music, and I'm so sorry if it was, but I'm not going to redo it. So I need to check into that and see what's going on, and then I will come back and do 6C. Once again, this was a playthrough of The Royal Trap by Hanako Games. My name is Anna Mardal, and thank you so much for listening to the end. I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.